In this film we're going to look at the national demand and supply when a country enters the world market. So we have this starting point where we have an autarky situation where the country produces and consumes the good S, for instance soybeans, that's an agricultural product, and a good textile or something like that, that is the good T, which is an industrial product. If we use all of the available resources that we have, all the capital and labor, we can produce according to the production probability frontier. So we see that the maximum amount of S that we can produce is given by that horizontal intercept, and if we use all of the resources we have available to us and just produce good T, we're going to be able to produce that amount of it. Or we can produce some other bundle between these two extremes. In the autarky situation, we want to achieve as a high utility in the society as possible, so we're going to look for the situation where the community indifference curve is as far away out from origin as possible. And we see here that in this position we have a tangency here between the PPF and the CIC. So there's only one bundle that is equal between these two. And that is this bundle A. We see that we in this situation have the same slope of the two curves. So the slope of the CIC, that's the marginal rate of substitution between T and S, is the willingness to give away textile units to be able to consume one more S. And that is equal to the marginal rate of transformation, that is the slope of the PPF, which is also in this case the cost of producing one more S expressed in not money but in units of T. And that will also be the base for the relative price that we will have in this country in autarky, no trade. So we will have a relative price that is equal to PS divided by PT, autarky. So we're going to consume the bundle SA and TA. So if we're interested in the good T, we see here that if we draw a new graph beneath the first one, we realize that with this relative price, PS1 divided by P2, we're going to consume TA units of textiles. So to be able to draw that on the vertical axis on the T graph, we have to recalculate this one to the inverted version. So PT divided by PS is identical to 1 divided by PS PT, of course. So we invert that one. So that will give us that the relative price PT divided by PS is PT2 divided by PS1, and that will give us a consumption and production in this country that is equal to TA units of T. If we now enter the world market, and on the world market the price of T is less than that we had in autarky, so PT1 is less than PT2, we realize that we are now facing a new relative price, PS1 divided by PT1. And since PT1 is less than PT2, this has to be a steeper slope than we had originally. So when we compare this bundle here, you see that this is going to cost the country equally much to consume. And then we can consume upwards towards T axis over there. But this is nothing that has to do with what we are able to produce, because we have to look at the production possibilities frontier, because that is the boundary of production. So we have to look at the situation here where we have this new relative price equal to the slope of the PPF. So in bundle B here we see that the marginal rate of transformation, the slope of the PPF, will be identical to the world relative price that we have PS1 divided by PT1. So therefore we're going to produce the bundle B. So we're going to produce TB units of T and SB units of S. So we have increased our production of S, and therefore we must reduce the production of T, because we have to move downwards along the ppf. So therefore we see down here in the T-axis, we see that we now produce less amount of T due to the fact that the relative price of T has come down. So PT1 divided by PS1 is less than the original one, and therefore we want to produce a smaller amount. So if we combine this and all other parts that we can look up in the first diagram there, we can derive the national supply like this one. The consumers then, well, they are also facing this new relative price, so they're going to consume according to this one. So they're going to face a new relative price that is given by this blue dotted line. And this is what they actually can consume. This is called the consumption possibilities frontier. So we're going to look at and find the highest possible CIC that we can find, and that will be up here in the position C. So we're going to have a consumption of the good C that is equal to that much, and a consumption of the good S that is that much. So if we take that into the lower graph here, we see that for the same relative price we are willing to produce TB but willing to consume TC. So if we put these consumption bundles together, we will get the national demand like that. So what we see here is that when we have a relative price of T that is less than what we have originally, then we will have an excess demand, and the excess demand in our national market will be fulfilled by the import of T, as we see here up in the upper graph. There's a difference between TC and TB, which is the import, and that is paid by this export. So we consume less S than we produce, so this is the export of S. So that will finance this consumption that we have in T.